All right, everyone, now we have to talk about the 24 elections, specifically the GOP primaries, which are trudging along at the moment, fairly nondescript. Trump went to Iowa the other day, hold his rally there. Huge crowd, by the way. That's why you don't see posts about how small it is, because there's no way to construe it as a small crowd. Usually, it means they take a picture of the crowd 4 hours before Trump gets there and laugh about the fact that half the seats are empty. You'll notice they did the opposite with Biden. Lots of close-in shots to make it seem like the 10 people that showed up during the election represented thousands of them. Oftentimes, you got that countermanded by citizen journalists that happened to be there, and they take a shot. It's sort of like a Beto in El Paso that time. You remember that one and how funny that fucking was. Anyway, Trump drawing a huge crowd in Iowa. With, I would say, fairly high enthusiasm. A link in the description archived, of course. This is just a write-up about it. He went off on multiple things with regards to issues, although his build is mainly being about education. And one thing that I've noticed is that if I contrast and compare Trump rallies, even despite the fact that you never hear about them from the legacy media because of their wall of silence strategy, he's still getting double or up to like 10 times as many people as Ron DeSantis is getting showing up now. Part of that is that DeSantis has not officially announced his run. Nikki Haley is lucky to be able to fill a broom closet. Chelsea Clinton has more charisma. John Bolton is not even treated as an entity, despite announcing his run quite some time ago. Technically speaking, he was the first one to throw in against Trump. But then nobody talks about him. Anytime that you read a legacy media write-up about the GOP primaries, you're more likely to get DeSantis listed as positively running than someone that actually decided to run. And then you've got Ramaswamy, who's a third-tier candidate. He reminds me of Andrew Yang, and I expect that's what he'll end up being. Right now, although most indicators point to yes, we're not even sure that Ron DeSantis gets in. But we're going to argue that he does, because it's more likely than not at this point. Again, while I don't trust unnamed sources, you have people close to him, close confidants and allies of Ron DeSantis claim that he's ready to run. He's waiting a couple of months. He'll announce sometime around May or June. We'll assume that that's true. Well, we'll just take it to the bank that that story is not fucking bullshit. Or maybe he announces later. That could be the case too. That's fine. But he gets in. I'm beginning to see a carve-up of the United States as far as the electorate goes for the purposes of the primary. Donald Trump is way out ahead in Iowa. He is very beloved in the corn, like the flyover and Rust Belt states. That's his core of support. That's quite a few electoral points, by the way. He seems to be ahead in New Hampshire, although there was one poll that showed DeSantis well out ahead. That one has been sort of, I think it was an Emerson poll, has basically, put that in the dustbin. And keep in mind, we're not getting enough polling to know the exact number. It could be advantage either of them, but my feeling is that Trump probably is out in front in New Hampshire. He seems to have a lead in Nevada. That leaves South Carolina. South Carolina is the main question. Ron DeSantis, if he gets in, needs to win at least one of the first 4 states in order to be a plausible candidate. Preferably he wins 2 or 3 of them, but he needs to win one. If he doesn't get any of them, then by Super Tuesday, with your enthusiasm already on the wane, and the element of people thinking that it's inevitable that Donald is the nominee, your support will begin to collapse at exactly the wrong time. A clean sweep on Super Tuesday nearly, and then the inevitable happens, even if it's partially self-fulfilling and based off of that turnout on Super Tuesday. I think it would most likely be South Carolina. It's close to Florida, and it seems that DeSantis has outsized support in the southern states, which is interesting because Donald Trump is also very popular there too. You could end up with a massive duke-it-out match in the old Confederate states, assuming that the primary proceeds that long. My feeling is that it's more likely, pending debates, potential packed field, we're not sure right now. Again, we've only got 2 people that are in it, assuming that you count Bolton as a non-entity. And the polling is wonky anyway, because it doesn't just count the people that are in or virtually assured to get in. It really should be Trump, DeSantis, Bolton, Haley, and Ramaswamy. Instead, they've got half a dozen other people. They leave Bolton and Ramaswamy off. Not really the metric that you want to go by if you want the die-hard, cold reality of the numbers. There are lies, damn lies, and statistics, and these ones are definitely statistical in nature. So then, You have other parts of the country. For instance, you have the Northeast states, the West Coast, etc. It's hard to tell which way they swing. Again, part of it will be early enthusiasm, but there's always one unknown element that's on the table right now, and we don't know it yet, other than, the debate rules. Ronna McDaniel's, by the way, getting castigated by Ramaswamy and him saying, well, I might not honor a loyalty pledge to the candidate if you don't make it clear what we're working with well beforehand. That'd be interesting, Ramaswamy going rogue. That would be a spoiler candidate for a general, by the way, assuming he has any latitude at all. We'll see if he gets even a point, just to be clear. What we have to wait for as well, number one, we have to wait for more economic news. That's number one. And number two, how many people get in the race. As I've said, if you end up with more than 6 people running against Trump, it swings massively advantage Trump. If there's less than that, especially less than, let's say, 4, if it remains a very sparse field, it becomes harder because there is an ever-Trump vote that could coalesce behind one person. If DeSantis gets in, it would be him. In a 4-way race, because Bolton apparently doesn't exist, Trump has the problem whereby DeSantis becomes the other candidate. Haley is an afterthought. Nobody cares. Ramaswamy, nobody cares. It would be harder for him. Ironically, the thing that's keeping people out should be driving them in. There's a weird juxtaposition going on. Trump benefits from more people running against him, but more people don't want to run because they are afraid to run against Donald. It's very, very interesting. People are refusing to get into the primary race because they're afraid of getting pounded by Trump, MAGA swinging against them, denying them a career, etc. They're terrified of him. More of them getting in, actually, though, some of these people have a visceral dislike of him and would like, conversely, to run against him. But by doing so, they water down the anti-Trump field more. It's a very strange situation of political bedfellows and much, much more beyond that. My feeling is that Trump carries 3 of the first 4 states, probably goes on to win 8 or 9 in Super Tuesday and seals the deal. I don't think it may be a messy primary, but I don't think it'll be a protracted one. Again, unless things shift drastically before the election. Economically, diplomatically, Trump has a health scare. DeSantis has a health scare. Anything could happen. More candidates get in, fewer candidates get in. Somebody cuts out and just says, oh, I endorse DeSantis because Orange Man bad. You could see that too. An emptying of the field right before the primaries begin could swing more people his way. I'm also seeing people, increasingly, the core MAGA, saying not just that they would prefer Trump, which is where I stand, but that they dislike DeSantis. The core of support with Trump's attacks on DeSantis arguably is hardening further. Now, you may jettison some of your soft support because they don't like the mean, nasty tweet politics, although I think that's less applicable to Trump's fans than most. But as far as that 35-40% goes within the party, that shell is hardening. A really hardened core of support, a very large one, almost incapable of being underwhelmed unless, again, you only have one other person running and they are particularly powerful as a candidate. So we'll see what happens. That's about all. Peace out.